My next guest enters the cage for the very first time in 2023. On March 15th, he will be headlining Calvin Kattar's Combat Zone 79. It's in Boston, Massachusetts. I hope if you guys are in New England, you already bought your tickets because by the time I release this, the tickets are probably going to be sold out. Connor, the controller Matthews, is joining me today. Connor, thank you so much for being here, my man. It's a real honor to have you on my show. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me on, fellow mom's basement guy. So I really appreciate you for what you're doing and what I'm doing. It's so funny that we got the same things going on, following our dreams. I love it.
I've watched several of your interviews in the past. I'm not going to ask you to regurge a bunch of boring questions that you've already answered, but there's one thing about you that I did want to hit on, and I think it's important. I was in the military for 6 years, and it was a rewarding chapter. It was a rewarding part of my life, but getting out was really difficult. I struggled. I really, and I had a normal job. I didn't have like a cool guy job like you doing cool badass stuff. I had I was regular forces. So I want to preface this conversation, or preface this question by saying I know you're not a psychologist. I know you're not like an expert in this area, but I'd love to hear from your perspective, like when you look back on your military career and then making that adjustment into civilian life. If there's like a vet out there that's like struggling or maybe trying to find their way, like is there anything that you would share about maybe some of your experiences that would help somebody like that?
Yeah, so definitely transitioning out of the military is one of the hardest things I've ever done. Just the fear of the unknown. What are you going to do? You get used to, 6 years was a big part of my life, and I got used to a lifestyle. Never mind the special operations, combat control thing. It's like a gang. You know what I mean? It's like such a tight knit community. So when you're like trying to get out of that, it's weird. And then it's just like civilians versus military ideology. It's just, there's so much that goes into it. That was like, man, it was definitely a really, really stressful part of my life. But it was also like a necessary part of my life that I had to follow. And I'm so happy I did once I came out on the other side and started figuring stuff out. But dude, did I face some challenges? For sure. This wasn't an easy ride to where I'm at right now and doing what I'm doing, like mentally, more than physically or anything like that, or fighting and, fights are one thing, but like mentally the ups and downs, how am I going to support myself? Taking a risk too, like to be a professional fighter. I got out when I was 27. I think I was turned 27 when I got out, and then I didn't think I was gonna be shooting at the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was gonna take a run at it, but I had to have some sort of belief in myself and what I love and what I wanted to do. Just to shut everything else out and just go for it, and I did it. And it's been absolutely rewarding ride. No matter what happens, I'm still happy for the decisions I made to get to where I'm at right now. And I'm still happy I joined the military and did that. I wouldn't be who I am right now if I didn't do the military thing. So
absolutely. And I think you hit on like a lot of things. You talked about like resilience. You talked about like finding your way, and it's scary. It's tough. And I hope for anyone out there, it's like, I'm not an expert. I'm not somebody who really like dispenses advice, but I would just say, that's part of the process. Like it will be uncomfortable for a little while. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, where you come from or what you're trying to do. It will be uncomfortable for a little while.
Hey, hence the reason why I'm in my mom's basement training right now. You know what I mean? So even I started, my whole goal, is to start my own gym someday. And I want to I live in Massachusetts, and I want to open up a mixed martial arts, a full facility one day. But, I'm focusing on becoming fighting in the UFC. So like that kind of takes priority. So running a business and being a fighter are like two full-time things, full-time. I wouldn't say jobs. I would say lifestyles, right? You know what I mean? Being a business owner is not a job. It's a career, and then being a fighter is the same thing. Like everything, so much time has to go into it. So I was lucky enough for my parents. I was originally actually renting from another spot. Something happened with that. They closed down, and now I'm here where I'm at right now. My parents were lucky enough to let me come down here and, train. So I don't have to worry about rent, but I can still keep the training going. And I can focus. I still was training with the New England cartel. So I spend a lot of time, even now, like, even though I'm training in my basement, I drive an hour and 45 minutes to the training to there and an hour 45 minutes back 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm on the car driving. I'm grinding. I'm in day and day out, but I'm lucky. I'm thankful for everything I have right now.
I did see the documentary that just, or the whatever the vlog or whatever it's called. I'm going to put it in the description for this video. You talked about all that stuff. It's really cool. I want to like shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about the Francis Marshall fight. It was significant because
For sure.
number one, like, you know, because of the connection like I have with you, I was like, that's our champion, that's our guy, and he's going out there and he has like that platform. And regardless of win or loss, I hope that there was somebody out there that took maybe half of what I took out of it. It was just like, if you grind, if you work, if like you're willing to like put yourself out there, good things are, people will notice and good things will happen. And I know that fight didn't go your way. I was still proud of you. I know we're strangers basically, but because of your background, I was like, man, fuck yeah, that guy went out there and he jobbed and he grinded and he may not have gotten the result, but you know,
Dude,
you were amazing. I know you didn't get the win, but you were still amazing. But I'd like you to talk a little bit about that fight. What did you learn from that one?
yeah, I appreciate you saying that, and I needed that fight to be where I'm at right now. So I learned a lot about my fight. I learned a couple things unknown. Like I was smoking people, all right, in the first minute in the first round for like my first 5 professional fights, you know. So I needed some resistance to see what I needed to work on. You know, when you're beating everybody and you smoke somebody, and next thing you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what where your flaws fit. And that was a big fight that exposed a lot of things to myself, but I proved to myself a couple things. Hey, I can take a fucking punch and I'm going to keep fighting to the end. I knew that about myself because I'm a combat controller and I'm a warrior and I've rather fucking died and quit. And that's been instilled into me for my military career. So I knew that about me, but you know, it was good to show everybody else that. I think everybody else got a little bit more respect and, you know, they could see that I'm not somebody who's just a knockout artist who's just beating bums. Cause I did have a lot of bad fights before I fought Francis Marshall, and like, not all my fault, but I did have a lot. So I learned I can go in there and I can bang with a banger. Francis Marshall, I all fucking powers to that. That kid is an absolute savage. I went down there and I trained in New Jersey with him after my fight, and I rolled around with him. And his engine is insane. Like I'm happy the fight went the way it went. You know what I mean? I didn't get finished because he exposed a lot of things to me, and I was like, wow, this kid's an animal. So he's gonna be a really good. He got his first fight in the UFC. He got a knockout in the second round. You know, so I learned a lot. So, you know, coming back from that fight, I needed that check. I mean, yes, I took a little bit of damage, broken nose, face was all messed up. I changed some things in my camp. I'm now working with the New England cartel. I got my gym going. There's like a lot of things that, you know, I needed to change. He worked on my wrestling a ton because he's a really good wrestler. He picked me up, put me down. So I worked on that a ton. And you know what? I needed that to be where I'm at because I've never felt more ready. I'm happy that fight happened. As a matter of fact, like now what it's setting up, the fight I'm having right now is another shot and fighting in front of Dana White. It's almost better, and I'm the main event. It's almost better. So like I'm not a religious person, and you know, and I'm not, but I think that everything happens for a reason, and what you put into the universe will give back in the right ways and to make you better. So I put my heart and my soul and everything I can to this, and I'm getting rewarded with a great opportunity. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
I love your outlook, man, and I completely agree. Like, I think it gave you an opportunity to brush up and maybe like go back to basics and kind of retool yourself. Because here's the thing: you win that fight, now guess what? Hey, man, Josh Emmett's opponent dropped out. We need you to fight him. And now all of a sudden, you find yourself against ranked guys right away. A couple of those fights don't go your way. Thanks for playing, buddy. Later.
1,000%. You know what? And I've seen a lot of you know, I train with a lot of guys in the UFC around here, and you know, and they get there and they get 1-2 fights and they get knocked out, and then that's their shot and they're done. And it's like, you know, they spent their life trying to get there. Is you want to stay there and you get there. You know what I mean? I want to be a fighter in the UFC who's sticking around and can make a career out of this. And so, yeah, you're right. You're 100% correct. I definitely you know, I want to be a guy that's all assets of MMA, man. There's so many assets. There's striking, there's the jiu-jitsu, there's the rolling. You got to find those flaws and work on them. And that's what that fight did for me, for sure.
I am going to be super blunt with you, Connor, because that's what I do. I'm super blunt.
Let's do it. Shoot it straight, man. I love it.
Here's the deal. For this fight, you're a New England cartel guy. There's going to be people that are going to look at this card they're gonna look at your opponent and be like, okay, I know what the deal is. We know what the deal is. Like they're trying to like push up Matthews. They're gonna bring in
Yep.
some dude with a decent record. Like that's their boy. That's who they want to win. I
Yeah.
looked at this. I looked at Cruz. That guy is a fucking animal.
I agree.
I do not think he's a scrub. I don't think he's a guy that has a pretty record on paper. That guy's a fight finisher. This is not an
Bro,
easy fight for you.
dude, I have not once I got this kid's name, I have not once, I looked at him, I'm not once underestimating. He's fought prior UFC fighters. He's fought in LFA. He's fought in Bellator. He's fought in title fights. He's gone the distance. He's not being finished easy. He has a crazy engine. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, Idaho wrestler, goes the distance. I mean, dude, if you're underestimating this kid, like that's silly. Like I'm not underestimating this kid at all. This is it could be a UFC fight. It is a UFC fight.
It is. Yeah.
It is. It's a UFC fight, and I mean that's but I do believe in myself too. At the same time, I am at that level. You know what I mean? I am UFC caliber. I am a knockout artist. I can finish people. I've been doing this stuff for 25 years. People don't realize that. Like, I've been doing martial. I know I transitioned out of the military and got back into MMA and everything. But man, I'm a lifetime martial artist. So I'm ready for it, and I'm ready for him. So definitely not underestimating. This is going to be a rough fight. There's a reason why I want this fight. I mean, I'm showing Dana I'm a UFC caliber fighter. He saw me. I can go the distance. I can fight hard with Francis Marshall. I want to finish though. I don't want to be. I mean, it's a war. I'm ready to go to war always, but I wanted to show him the skill. And, I think there's a lot of other guys in the UFC and especially in the 45 division that I can finish and do well against. So I think he's going to see it. You know what I mean? That's what I think you're going to see.
And I completely believe, I'm of the belief, you get a finish over this guy, or hell, you don't even have to. This is my opinion. I know you want the finish. You just beat this guy. That's enough. This guy is an absolute savage. It's not a setup fight. I looked at this and I was like, this guy's the real deal. And, credit to him for taking this fight and credit to you for taking it, because if you weren't the type of guy that you were, you could easily have gotten a lot easier of an opponent had you wanted.
Absolutely.
You could
have. I didn't want that. And I had, trust me, I haven't fought since August, right? So there's been other promotions that throw names at me. And they're like, guys, hey, let's get you back in there and try to get you back in the win column. And I'm just like, I don't want that. I saw what I can do. I can hit with the UFC fighters. Francis is a UFC fighter, right? I can hang with those guys. That's the level of fighters I want. So when I get to the UFC, like I just said, if I have something I need to fix, I have time to fix it. I don't want to keep fighting bums and we said this huge flaw in your game that we missed out on these last. Think about it. It takes 3 to 6 months between a fight, right? Always 3 to 5, 6 months. That's a lot of time. The clock is clicking. So I need to figure out what, if I do have flaws, how to fix them. And so I can progress forward with my career and get better and get to my goal of being in the UFC and be ready for that fight. So yeah, I'm ready for this guy.
I would expect nothing less based off of the man I know you to be. I know that you're the type of guy that is going to circle the biggest lion on the paper and be like, that's the guy I want to fight. This is going to be an exciting fight. I can't wait to watch it. I have one final question for you, sir, and it's simply this. It's a big fight. It's going to be happening in Massachusetts in front of a lot of people. Dana White's going to be there. And many of the other top people from the Northeast they're going to come down to watch you fight. What are some things that you want Dana and everyone who bought a ticket from you that's going to be showing up? What are some things that you want them to know before you set foot in the cage?
I want them to know. First of all, it's who I am as a person, like how professional I am, how seriously I take this. This is not a little side thing I do or just trying to get attention from being a professional MMA fighter. Like I take this stuff. I'm a martial artist from when I was 6 years old until I'm 30 right now. I'm turning 31. So like I'm a pure martial artist and I want people to see that in all assets of my game. And I want to dominate this fight. I want to go in there with the confidence in front of everybody. I want them to show you like I am Boston's guy. That's what I want to be, man. I want to be fucking, we have the Patriots, we got the Celtics, we got, the Red Sox. I want to be Boston. I'm part of the New England cartel, which is like, we call it Boston's fifth team. And we are the best fighters out of New England right now. And I'm so happy to be with those guys, with Tyson and Rob and Calvin and Nick and Tom. So I want to show them another one of those guys. Like, I'm here and I'm be a staple UFC fighter out of Boston.
You can be the New England guy, but you're also the Air Force guy. I wish you nothing but
Yes.
the best. And one final thing, I know that you have a lot of people that support you and companies that work with you behind the scenes. If you need to shout any of those people out before I let you go, I'd like you to have a chance to do that.
Yeah. First of all, big shout out to my biggest supporters is my combat control community. So all those, and Air Force in general, not just combat control. My Air Force people, man, I do this. You guys, I go out there and I believe in myself. Like, you know, there's guys right now deployed. There's guys right now, or even my friends who have given their life. There's guys spending time away from their family, and they're actually doing bigger sacrifices than I'm doing right now. I'm chasing my dream, doing what I'm doing. So thank you to all of those people that are out there sacrificing. And I don't take that for granted. So when I go out there and I fight, I'm fighting for you guys. I truly believe that. So it means everything in the world to me. On top of that, thank you for all my sponsors. I got too many of them to list right now. So I'm not going to put everybody through that boring stuff, but they know who they are. Thank you so much for all my sponsors. And for myself, I got my gym, Mattapoisett, Massachusetts, Mom's Basement MMA, or we call it Connor Matthews MMA, right? It's in my mom's basement. It's a small gym, but we got some good fighters coming out of here. So I have my teammates. They've been supporting me. And so if you guys are looking to get some training, come down, check it out. Go on my website, buy a shirt, controllermma.com. So go on there, got some shirts on there. And that's it. Is that my mom down here right now? Mom, come on over here. Show this is mom's basement. I got to show her this is her basement. So I got to give her some photo cut right here. Say hi.
Hi, Mom.
This is Mom's Basement MMA.
Connor can't have cookies.
No, I can't cook. She's always bringing around snacks and cookies.
Well, absolutely perfect, Connor. I really appreciate your time. Best of luck on your fight, and thanks for spending some of your afternoon with me.
My pleasure. Anytime, man. Thank you for everything you're doing, and I appreciate it. Keep it going, man. I love what you do.